Oh, there we go. Alright. I forgot this thing has a button. Everyone can hear me now? Big Chris, what's going on? Just waiting for Paul to call in. Sorry about the few seconds of me sitting there in silence, everyone. This is our first... Let's get the camera situated. It's going to be our first stream of the new year. Hope everyone had a good new year. Yeah, and I know I'm live. I forgot to hit the button on my microphone. We're about to have Paul call in a moment, and then we'll start going over all of the news. Anyone have any topics? They answer the phone, dum-dum. It's not ringing. What are you talking about? Oh, here, let me call you back. See how he treats me, guys? I call him back, and that's what I get. Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can.
Yeah. How's it going, man?
You sound real rumbly, though.
Rumbly. Hang on.
Alright, there you go. Sorry about that. I had the window minimized, and it didn't
Try and do the show without me.
It didn't even bring up you were calling. Normally when you call, my phone starts going off. It's like a barrage of ringing my way, and there was no ringing at all. But
ask Big Chris if he wants to join as well. Send him a link.
I don't even know how to do that.
He can just add me on Facebook, can he?
Yeah, I suppose.
If he tells us his name, I'll find him.
Yeah.
I watched his YouTube channel, actually. It's alright. It's alright.
I didn't know he has one. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah. What's going on with you then, man?
Nothing much.
Happy New Year.
Trying to stay awake. I've just been tired from work and all that. Working in the mental health world. He's not on Facebook. Smart man, Big Chris. Smart man.
Yeah. See, I told you we should get him on. Yeah.
But yeah, I've just
yeah.
nothing much. Taking it light, you know, holidays and all that stuff. How were your holidays?
Pretty boring.
Yeah. Well, that's how I like them.
Yeah. Well, your news built up quick.
Yeah.
Nice little build up.
Yeah. What do you want to get into first?
I'll let you go first, dude.
Well, I don't know. The thing I think is most interesting to me is, you know, everything you got going on with the wall, and now you have the new Congress.
Where's the wall?
Where's our government?
Yeah, right.
That's the better question right now. Where's the government?
Well, yeah. Well, I saw that they're gonna impeach that motherfucker. That's what they're doing.
That's what they think, yeah. And now you got Ocasio-Cortez, and then Elizabeth Warren. I mean, it's just turning into a shit show. I think the next 2 years until the election are going to be hysterical. Like, did you see Paul Joseph Watson did a video about Elizabeth Warren saying she's not human?
No.
It's really funny because she's already like trying to do campaigning and seem relatable. So she did like a video where she's like, "Hi everybody, I'm going to have a beer." Big Chris, my video about Stefan, I have another one I was going to do because he did another video where he is again doing the same weird thing where he is debunking someone's article on race and IQ stuff and completely misrepresenting it, because when like this guy does this article and he's like, you know, most of the people who focus on race and IQ are, and then he goes through a list, and one of the things he says is like racist and eugenicist, and Stefan's like, Well, that's a straw man. That's not an argument. That's a, you know, whatever. I forget the term he threw out there. But it was like Stefan couldn't see past his own ego to realize, like, yeah, racists always do point to IQ. Like, it's not a debatable thing. It's an acknowledgement of history. Like, yeah, there are people besides racists who focus on IQ and stuff like that. But it is a lot of racists and eugenicists. I mean, they were measuring people's skull sizes and trying to go from that. Like, it's, I don't know. Stefan's in a weird place right now. I really think...
I've sort of not watched it for the last couple of weeks now.
Yeah, no one has. I mean, someone made a point on my last video, he said, where they said, you know, since Stefan...
Some of the call-ins sounded a bit faked as well recently.
Who? The call-ins?
Some of the call-ins sounded a bit like a pre-script, like...
Yeah. Well, and part of it's like...
Same with Joe Rogan. Like, I haven't watched a Joe Rogan podcast in a couple of weeks. I've turned off that. But
yeah.
It's not because of Owen Benjamin as such, but... Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bit of... Joe Rogan seems a bit homosexual, you know, a bit gay, a bit camp.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, chances are... Hold on, let me just close the door. I mean, you gotta remember, Joe Rogan, like, now, yeah, he's doing his own show, but he was big in the industry for a bit, so he had probably been blowing some powerful old Jewish men for his shekels at one point in time. So, I mean, Hollywood is like that. He was probably on the casting couch for Fear Factor.
You check out the 9/11 hack that's going on, the Dark Oval or whatever it is.
No, I think I heard a little bit about it.
It's shady, innit? I've been checking it out quite a bit.
Big Chris, you're cracking me up. That's my argument exactly for intelligent design as opposed to evolution. It's probability. If everything I love in life was designed by someone who had intelligence and created it, why would I not assume the same is true about myself? Plus, I'm intelligent and I do design things, so I just think it's, yeah. Evolution's a joke. I actually had someone call in at my job the other day, and it's so funny because it's this guy who he's been on disability his whole life, and so he doesn't do anything. So instead, he just tries to be like a philosopher. But because he has, like, mental illness and his brain is kind of broken.
Amazing. Like, get him to write a book.
It's so incoherent. But I just, at one point, he's like, well, you know, the evolution and black holes. And I'm like, evolution and black holes are as real as leprechauns. And he was like, what? I'm like, they only exist in math equations. And like, it's so funny, some of the callers. Very interesting ones. I get this Palestinian girl who's like, I'm from a very male-dominated culture, and my father is keeping me awake with his vibes. I'm like, oh, your dad's like the, you know, Muslim Professor X, basically. Like, he's using his mental telepathy to keep you awake. Yes.
So Jamie's no help in this field. It's not making it 10 times.
There are a handful of people that
killed themselves.
I do help. They're actually, you know, it's interesting, Paul. This actually is very relatable to some of the things we talk about with social justice warriors and stuff. There's this one girl who she went to a very liberal college, you know, where they practice the whole safe space thing. If you have an issue, stay away from it. Just hug a pillow. Go pet a cat. You know, never confront your problems. And she would be on this whole, I want to die, I want to die. Well, she stayed at the house one time. And this one night she goes to me and she's like, can we talk? And I'm like, yeah, sure. So she does her whole I want to die bit. And I said, listen.
Well, you are going to die. Just wait.
Well, I told her, I said, you know,
that is going to happen.
I said
You've got something to look forward to now, haven't you?
Right? I said for numerous liabilities and stuff like that, I can't have you just sitting here saying you want to die and kill yourself. You know, I'll have to send you to the hospital. So if you could, let's talk instead of you just telling me that. I said, besides, does saying you want to die, does it help anything? Like, I know I'm not saying bottle up your emotions, but what does stating that really have to do for you? I'm like, if you said you wanted this feeling to end, you know, I'd be with you with that. But so anyway, we're talking, and she gets to all these points where it's like, well, you know, I don't have any friends. And I'm like, well, you don't even want to be around, so why would anyone want to be around you? Like, you have to be a person worth investing time and energy into for someone to want to be friends with. Oh, well, you know, there were like a handful of things where it's like, I just sort of gave her the real harsh reality check, where she would be like, oh, well, you know, I don't have anything to do with myself. I'm like, listen, you're in charge. You're in charge of your life now. I said, you have to give yourself purpose. Like, you can't just expect it to come overnight. Yeah. I tell it, like, what do you have going on? Oh, I have an appointment this day, and then I have nothing. I'm like, so do what makes you happy. Do what you want to do. Like, and then we didn't hear from her for 2 weeks, where it was like, she came there, she wanted to die. I had this, and I mean, the final point I made to her was, you know, I told her, like, you know, I had problems. My mom thought I was suicidal. I was hospitalized over it, you know, this and that. I said, but, during all that time, people would tell me suicide is a selfish thing, and I didn't understand it. And then I told her that I had a friend of mine that killed himself because as a kid he was molested by his father, then he got hooked on drugs, burned a lot of his bridges to the point where the only person that would take him in was his father. So he ended up hanging himself when he was living with his dad. And I told her, I said, you know, when he passed away, like...
Pretty uplifting story, that should sort her out.
Well, I told her, I said, you know, when he died, I said, it was really hard for me and everyone else because all we could think is, like, what is there anything we could have done different? I mean, realistically...
Yeah, you could have stopped him from moving in with his...
I didn't even know. That was the thing. I didn't even know he had moved in with him. I found out he was living with him when same time I found out he had died. But, you know, ultimately, people are in charge of their actions, but it still is one of those things where it really fucks with everyone who's ever tried to help you or anything like that. Well, at that point, she was like, we're obviously not going to agree. I just need to go to bed. One of the other important things I did say to her is because she kept trying to blame her therapist. And I looked her right in her face and I said, listen, I said, you might get an hour, maybe 2 a week with a therapist. The rest
How can she afford a therapist?
Well, she's from a very well-off family. Her parents, that's part of the problem. Her parents were paying her rent. She was able to just sit around in her apartment and not have to do anything. So she's just sitting there wallowing with nothing to do with her time. But I told her, I said, you might get an hour or 2 with a therapist a week. The rest of that time is you with you. What are you going to do to fix this problem? And so none of us had heard from her. 2 weeks later, she shows up in Brett's office, dressed up, makeup done, with a resume in hand, and, like, ready to take on the world. And it was really just because no one gave her the tough reality check, because the moment someone goes, I want to die, everyone starts walking on eggshells. And it was almost like I was the only one that knew it was a bluff, and, like, she probably was feeling that way, but the intentions weren't there. Like, she just needed someone to be like, listen, you need to quit this shit. You're in charge of your life now. You need to make it what you want it to be. I basically Jordan Petersoned her. I was like, little girl, go clean...
Go tidy your damn room!
Go
what do you mean you want to
clean your room.
That's what I mean by dying.
Go clean your room.
Many people die and they don't die.
Right? Go clean your room.
I died for 24 days. I'm still here.
I died for 24 days. I'm still here, basically. You just lay in bed and you're dead, and then you get up. Yeah.
Traumatized. I met the devil, the archetype itself. Jordan Peterson, the cult leader.
Oh my God. Did you see him talking to Charlie Kirk and Donald Trump Jr.?
What, about abortion?
Yup.
Yeah, I think it went down pretty well.
Yeah. He's a real special guy, that Peterson.
I think do you remember when I spiraled into depression last year?
Yeah.
And that's when I was listening to that crap. I wonder.
I just wonder how someone could be pointing at.
Because I spiraled, dude.
How could someone be pointing at postmodernism as such an issue because it just obscures reality, and yet that is their main tactic? Of like, well, it depends what you mean by.
That's what you should do. Instead of hiring hitmen and assassins, just tell people to listen to Jordan Peterson. It'll fix your life.
Right.
And then they'll probably kill themselves in about a week.
And they'd
maybe 2 weeks.
Like, well, it depends what you meant by killed myself, because I'm still here, but I'm not.
Depends what you mean by 2 weeks.
Yep.
Depends what you mean by 24 days.
Everything's up in the air.
Could have been 24 hours. It seemed like 24 days. We're still in sleep.
Yeah.
9/11. Fucking hell. Shut up, Jenny. 9/11 documents. 9/11 documents. How have you not been? What do you reckon? Should I go through what's going on? Can you tell me?
Let me find.
So there's this Overlord hacker. I think he hacked Netflix before. Remember the Netflix hack where he leaked some episodes? I don't remember it, but apparently it happened. And apparently that gives him legitimacy. And to me, that's not like a convincer. Oh, he hacked Netflix, because Netflix, I mean, they make fiction. So it's like, okay, well, that might have happened. It might not have happened. So they could have just leaked it themselves and just said, oh, it's some hacker. But now they've set up quite a good system. Like, the system itself is quite good, where there's like 10 levels of document drops, and then you pay a certain amount of Bitcoin, and then the encryption files are released for each 10 stages, so you can download the documents. But the language the Overlord uses is like, we've got conspiracy documents on 9/11. And you think it's not your normal hack, because normally hacking's about releasing information, especially something as important as 9/11. Would they really hold it hostage? And then the way they talk about it being a conspiracy, like this will confirm the conspiracy theory you've all known, just doesn't sound like the sort of language you'd expect from 9/11 researchers, really. That's what I find. It just seems shady. I'm just saying, it seems shady. But it's a good setup. I like the idea that hackers could set up like a GoFundMe, because it would be good if we could hire hackers to get information. If you want to know information, you tell them exactly what the conspiracy is, and they'll go hacking for you. And they should be rewarded for it if they come back with the goods. And Bitcoin, the way they've set it up, where you pay them Bitcoin to get encryption for the files, is a pretty good idea. It says 10 gigabytes of data. And I don't think anyone's sent them any money yet.
It says they've got $300 so far, which I assume is just from grassroots people.
Well, they want $1 million, so they're a bit far.
Yeah.
But yeah, the way they've set up, I went and had a look about how they set it up. It's pretty clever how you have Bitcoin, so each time it gets paid a certain amount, it will release the file. So that could be a useful model for the future, I think.
Yeah.
So actually, so the alternative media could actually recruit hackers. I agree with that. But this holding data to ransom, I think, is a bit shady, especially the kind of money they're talking about. So they did a data dump of the first 10 megabytes. I went through that, and it's basically, it's mainly insurance companies talking about how they're not gonna, how they can get out of paying, basically. And a couple of interesting things on there about how the security in the airports don't want to take any of the blame. It's like, it's not our fault that happened. And a lot of the people who were going to be excluded from being sued. Where it said, it's a shame, like I'm paraphrasing, but basically it's a shame they didn't do what they did to United Airlines 93 and get the military to like deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if the military had if the military had intervened like they did on United Airlines 93, then perhaps we wouldn't have such big legal cases. And that makes you think, that kind of hints that they did shoot down United Airlines 93. Military intervention, but that's the only thing that's in there. But it's shady as fuck, because you don't really know who these hackers are. You don't know where they got the information from. And then you don't know what's been planted in that information. It could be a bunch of real information, and they put a couple of, you know.
Well, it says here, A spokesperson from the Hiscot Group told Motherboard the law firm systems are not connected to Hiscot's IT infrastructure and the Hiscot's
Yeah,
own
because
systems.
Hiscox, the only reason they're talking about Hiscox is because Hiscox put a statement out 2 weeks ago that they suffered a major internet breach.
Yeah.
So the Hiscox might not even be related. It was the only reason they put Hiscox on this because Hiscox put out a statement 2 weeks before this happened. So there isn't actually any. Don't quote me. I don't think there's any confirmed links between the documents and Hiscox yet.
So you have that going on.
It does seem a little bit shady though. Like everyone's jumping on it, like believe and trust in this source, and it's like, well,
Yeah, and the other people
could be a psyop. I mean, it could be a mix of a leak plus a psyop.
Yeah. Speaking of which, because Chris had a question about Q. As far as QAnon goes, look into some of the stuff Jack Posobiec was revealing about it. I agree with Vox Day. It's a good morale booster. You can take some of the statements to the bank because a year or 2 years ago at this rate, every other day they were saying sealed indictments are coming, Hillary's going to be in cuffs, and she's not. So, I mean, granted there could have been plans for that to happen and things could have came up. Good morale booster, good at rallying people. I'm very skeptical of people like Jerome Corsi who are trying to make a living off of it. But
I thought one of them was confirmed to be Sack. And Sack's come out open, and he's actually released his name and gone public, hasn't he?
Yeah, and that's the thing. It wasn't a singular person. It's been different people operating under it.
Alex Jones said he met them at a golf course, and there were 4 of them. And I don't think they particularly liked Alex Jones. I think Roger Stone obviously knows who it is.
Yeah. Well, and so is Jack Posobiec, and he even showed a video though where you had people who were acting as QAnon decryptors, and then one of them had I forget what the name of the key is, the key to like confirm who's posting it or something like that. There's a certain sort of key code. But he shows the person is showing their screen while they're doing their stream, and it was the person acting as the decoder who's actually posting it. So
well, going back to that 9/11. Oh shit, man! Fuck. Yeah, the 9/11 thing. I can see that being a future model to the point where you could use it for assassination. You could actually see your first GoFundMe assassination on that model.
You could. I don't know if it would be on GoFundMe's site, but definitely on the dark web. Yeah.
Thing, yeah. Well, no, you don't need a dark web if you do it Bitcoin and encrypt it, do you? Okay.
I don't know. I've heard it's
yeah,
still
that's where
trackable.
you should check it out. The Overlord, like how they've set up the payments. It's like quite cool. That's what makes you think, you know, how. The other thing is, no one's actually checked if the documents were available before the leak. That seems like the first thing you should do. Is take a couple of the documents and just see if they were already in the public domain. Seems like a common sense thing to do. Jamie.
Yeah, I'm reading.
Right.
It says, in an initial note, the group included a link of 10 gigabyte archive of encrypted
massive,
files.
bro.
Motherboard reported the cache as multiple layers and multiple decryption keys to access those layers. The group has said unless they are paid a Bitcoin ransom, they will release the files. Their note read in part, "Pay the fuck up or we're going to bury you with this. If you continue to fail us, we'll escalate these releases by releasing the keys. Each time a layer is opened, a new wave of liability will fall upon you." But now the group has said it is accepting payment to release the layers of information it hacked. In a pastebin note, the group wrote in part, "There's 5 layers to go, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the final layer 5. Each layer contains more secrets, more damaging materials, more SSI, more SCI, more government investigation materials, and generally more truth. Consider our motivations. Money, specifically Bitcoin. We're not inclined to leak the juiciest items until we're paid in full. However, in the interest of public awareness and transparency, we're officially announcing our tiered compensation plan. Below, we'll announce the required cost to release each layer of damaging documents." There's only one way we can be paid, Bitcoin. You know what's interesting about this is happening at the same point, though, where the crypto markets aren't doing well, from what I've been told.
That's why it's a good time to do it, because a lot of people did get rich on it, I guess. So they
Yeah.
do have just spare Bitcoin lying around, which they probably can't do much with. Yeah, now you can follow the Bitcoin wallet, and like I didn't realize they got $300, but when I checked last night, they had 0. And it'd been up for a couple of days. So
Yeah.
not going great, is it? And the thing is what if you do get linked back to that? I mean, you're going to be fucked.
Yeah.
That's just asking to get a knock on the door. I see them streaming murders and stuff like that, man. Like red rooms and shit. What about what I was talking about? Because when Bilderberg, the French riot, and Estonia kind of all makes a nice little package, doesn't it?
Wait, what about Estonia and Bilderberg?
Well, Bilderberg had that thing where they were gonna, it looked like they were talking about e-citizenships
Oh, yeah, yeah.
and digital IDs, and everyone's gonna have an e-citizenship to do anything, and how in Estonia they'd actually rolled it out. And to live in Estonia, you have to have a digital card. You can't get on a train, you can't get on a bus, you can't get a job. They don't accept cash anywhere in Estonia, pretty much. And that's what looks like is happening in France. It looks like a lot of the riots have kind of been allowed to happen in many ways. And it looks like a lot of it's just for the cameras. Like they let people come in and burn a car. They let the car get out of control, let them get the video to beam around the world. Then the fire brigade come in and put it out. And it looks like the police are starting escalating a lot of the violence just so they can get it on camera. And then what they're going to roll out, they're going to roll out universal credit to cover the costs.
Yeah.
You got to think a lot of businesses have been shut. Like the centre of Paris has been completely shut down for what 8 weeks?
Yeah.
Every weekend. All those businesses are fucked. So I think it's going to get to the point where they're going to beg for the socialist government, and everything they're begging for is going to give Macron actually more control. Macron!
Yeah.
Macron will have more control, and then everything they need will have to be digitally given to them. So I can see everyone in Paris having a digital ID. Just like in Estonia, so to travel, you'll need your e-card, and travel will be free as long as it's for work and it's for these conditions, and you only do this much traveling and you use public transport. It's going to be that kind of shit. And then you're going to get your universal credit to bump up your salary from when the business has been shut and burned down.
Yeah. Yeah, I really...
And that's what Bilderberg were talking about, was rolling this out by 2020. And France, the Minister of France, as soon as Macron was elected, the first thing he did was go to Estonia.
I didn't know that.
So, yeah, I checked that out. So, and he was talking about how great the Estonia e-citizen model is. So if you can Google just the Estonia e-citizen, whatever it was, just so people can see it's like a real thing. You cannot do anything in Estonia unless you're an e-citizen. And that means, do you remember before, like anyone can become an e-citizen, so they don't have borders now. Because you're an e-citizen, it's online. If you live in UK, you can become an e-citizen of Estonia. Do you remember that bit?
Yep.
And you could it was to encourage
businesses,
kind of
yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny, Ray, as you were saying that, the thing had popped up. What is e-residency? How to start an EU company online.
Yeah, that's it. So that's what France are going to be brought into. This riot has been, I think it started as grassroots, maybe, but it's allowed to happen. I think a lot of the big shit you see, where cars are burning everywhere, I think that's like Alexis Jones' film, where you get the rioters that are with the cops,
Yeah.
and they're allowed to do it, and then they get protected. So you did kind of see a little bit of that going on. But the other thing is you've had 10 deaths or so from the cops killing people, and you think if that was any other country, that would be a big thing. You know, they're killing protesters. We need to bomb them now. Bomb them! Bomb them! Fire will solve it! Fire!
Yeah, or you know what the other thing is, though, is if it was any other country, you would also then have other countries debating on intervening.
More to Molech. We'll
Well, I
Yeah,
mean,
you would have thought that would be an outrage, though, if you get what I mean. You know, the government killing 10 people on the street.
yeah, you would think. I mean, I would think that Britain would be questioning, like, do we need to intervene and help?
With what?
Well, that's true. With what? I mean, I just, but you know what I mean. Like, you'd have other countries saying, this is now an issue.
England's a pussy state.
Yeah, but
what can we do?
well, I'm saying when like like Libya goes into civil war, it's they're using chemical weapons on their people.
Like
we need to send in the troops. Like,
you remember the Arab uprising?
Yeah.
Controlled to the fucking nth degree.
Well, and the thing is, though, is you have them saying, like, we need to intervene with an EU army. And that's the thing that they were all saying was a conspiracy theory.
Magazine where you get the bulldog and a British flag. If the European Union does collapse, they've all got the euro. And England could just sit back and go, yep, we've got the pound.
Yeah, that even... Yeah, that's even been shady from the beginning. Not shadiness, I mean smart on the one hand, but it's like, why didn't England switch over? Because they must have knew, like, what the plan was, and they didn't want to be
Germany
part
were
of
gonna
it.
pick the bill up for it.
Yeah. I'll tell you, it's
Dutch
really
Bank.
a shame how Europe has gone downhill. Because I've been thinking about it. I'm like, how do you fix this? Like, are you really going to end up having to exile like all of these Muslims and Africans? Like, what is the solution?
Hell, they'd probably outnumber us.
I know. But it's you don't want to think that the future is Europe being... I mean, the only thing I can hope is that the Europeans hold on to their culture like the Jews did, and that it will... like, people make the point about the Jews, like, they were scattered across the earth, but when Israel was founded, they all showed up speaking the same language, having the same traditions and things like that, and it's like, you just hope the Europeans can hold on to their culture as strongly as the Jews did, because this is just the beginning. I mean, this isn't even in the throes of it.
I actually think we are, like, I don't want to sound like all the other Christians, but it does seem a bit end times prophecy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Do you see all those blue skies in New York, all that crap? It was
I did. Yeah.
No.
Who knows what it was? I think it was weather modification. Did you see, actually, it was recent, some country came out, I don't remember if it was China or Russia or who, but someone came out and were like, yeah, we have a weather manipulation center, and you look at the pictures of it, and it's like identical to HARP.
Lovely.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, what's going to happen with France? I mean, it's getting pretty out of control. Like, there's no businesses opening. Everything's shut down for the whole weekend. The only other thing you had in Europe was the amount of attacks are still going up, like machete attacks, knife attacks. Getting them daily in London, about 2 or 3 a day. Machete attacks in London, which is nice. Family killed in front of their kids, like mum and dad were killed in front of their kids.
Wow.
Yeah. There's normally one on the train every day. Something will kick off on the train. And a machete attack. Schiphol airport nearly got blown up on New Year's Eve. Something was going down there. Lots of cops running around with machine guns, not looking very happy. Don't know what else happened on New Year's. There's quite a few like small terror attacks and stuff. Manchester train station had a terror attack. That guy running around shouting Allah Akbar, this is for the caliphate, and stabbed 4 people. And police are baffled to know what his motive was. It could have been mental health. And then just reading stories in the UK press about rapes in like shopping centres, and there's no description given of the male they're looking for. But everyone look out for a man. Just rapes, and it's like, look out for a man. What the fuck? One of them, then they had someone that like knifed someone. It's like, look out for a man with a tanned complexion.
That's
Okay,
horrible.
well, thanks for the great description.
Yeah,
like we'll be on
I
the lookout
I
for
heard
that.
things like that were escalating around New Year's and stuff. It really is such a shame. I mean, it's like when I was younger, like I would think to myself, "Oh, I'd like to visit England and stuff like that." And now it's like you have to make sure it's like you know where you're going. I feel like.
I wouldn't fancy going to London. It's just not London anymore.
Yeah.
It's been for a long time. Yeah, it's pretty horrific.
Yeah.
Especially, I just think that's where we got to. I think a lot of people in England are just mentally retarded now. I don't think it's their fault. It's just the attack from everywhere. It's like I was thinking at work, like when I go to work in an office, how sanitized it is. And it's like what they said about the slave camps, like the women rule the offices now, and that's why they're so fucking sanitized. And if you've got any kind of testosterone in your body, it's frowned upon in the office now. The women rule the roost.
Yeah.
They
It's always
they
been
can
like
get away
that.
with anything.
Even in the American plantations, you know, that's where the
It's what an office feels like.
Yeah, that's where the stereotypical Aunt Jemima archetype came from, because they would have the like larger, heavier set black women overseeing the slaves and just kind of keeping them in line. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I'll tell you, even, you know, it's interesting. I have it at my one job, like we had it a few weeks ago. Whenever there's 3 guests in the house, because we have 3 bedrooms at our place, and it's 3 women, we have what me and Brett call stray cats, where it's basically like they will fight with each other for the attention of the worker. And they come in with this mindset that like the resources are limited. So it's like, if one of the women are meeting with a worker like Brett to discuss housing or something like that, well, that's taking away from their chances. And it's like, that's not how the social services systems work. Like, if you're entitled to benefits or something like that, you're entitled to it. It doesn't mean if person A gets housing, that person B can't get it because person A got it. No, either you're eligible or not. But these women... like, women just don't like each other for the most part.
Well, I got in trouble at work because I have opinions. And they put on the news. I think they do, as we've got like local radio. And I'm trying to convince them that it's not news. Because it's like 6 o'clock news. It's like there's no such thing as 6 o'clock news anymore. Like, what are you talking about? There's no such thing, because news happens on Twitter, on social media, on Drudge. It's instant. News happens all the time now. We're inundated with news. So the 6 p.m. update idea just shows how insane they are. And it's not news. I think they're trying to get away with it. Is so ridiculous. I think they're just trying to get away with what they can say and see if what people will go along with.
Well, you know, and it's interesting because someone made that point. Someone made that point when Nancy Pelosi got introduced as Speaker of the House. They did an interview with her, and they were asking about, like, criminal charges against Trump. And someone laid it out where they said, look, this is what's happening. You have an opinion, and now we're asking Nancy Pelosi her opinion about the opinion about a possibility over what could come from the indictments in which there are no proof of. And it's like gossip being treated as news.
From the radio is that drone incident at Gatwick, which we now know didn't happen. Everyone called me a dick, going, "Oh, why was the radio lying to us? Of course it's a drone." It's like, you can't fly a drone into Gatwick Airport. Not possible.
Yeah.
It's got GPS. It's just like, it just wouldn't happen. And there's obviously something shady going on. I don't know what's going on, but something shady going on. To shut down an airport and delay 370,000 flights. And it only, how long does the battery last? They couldn't shoot it. They couldn't fly enough a drone in. They couldn't handle that. Give me a break. I know I take the piss out of British forces, but we could fucking handle a drone, can't we, guys?
Yeah.
And then it turns out they're trying to sell Gatwick to the French. It's like, well, there you go. The management probably didn't want the deal to go through, so they tried to sabotage this bullshit story. And then, and they're just opinions, Paul. It's like, well, change my mind.
Yeah.
Like, this is a ridiculous story. Everyone knows it's ridiculous, and that's what I put on the radio. To just see if anyone can figure it out. See how dumbed down people actually are. Everyone goes along with it again. Why would they lie to me? They want to keep us all informed and help me make better decisions. It was on the radio. It must be true. It's like, explain to me how you fly a drone into Gatwick. And I was tempted to go to Gatwick with a drone to prove you can't do it. I'll just get arrested, won't I? They go, why are you trying to fly into Gatwick? It's like, to prove a point. I'm not a terrorist. This is to prove a point. You can't fly within a couple of miles of it. The drone just won't even turn on.
Yeah,
Anyway,
that's what I figured. It would have some system that just sort of shuts it down as it comes
close.
close.
Otherwise people have been doing it for years, man. And otherwise, every time Trump does anything, he'll just get attacked by an army of drones, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
But anyway, in this week's news, they were going, obesity is a disease now.
You know what
I was like, hang on. This is at work. I was like, come on guys, you gotta agree to that. That is bullshit. Like, what medical journal does it say obesity is a disease? Show me the medical journal. Like, they don't give any source, they don't give any quote. It's just like, doctors now say obesity is a disease. It's like, what? I don't mean anything. Doctors say, what? What doctor said that? And it's like, obesity is not a disease. And if we tell kids that obesity is a disease, and you're just going to get more fat kids.
Yeah.
Because it takes away the responsibility, right? You need to be hard with these people and go, no, you need to get in the gym, you need to eat right, and you need to push your body.
You know what I saw? I saw
this fat bitch in the pool going, look, I try, but I can't lose weight. And she's just lifting her arm in a swimming pool. And like, my boss was going, oh look, see, she is trying, but some people just can't lose weight. I was like, that's not exercise. She's barely stretching.
Yeah.
That's barely stretching.
I'll tell you what, even my my boss at the restaurant.
You just have opinions. No, obesity is obesity a disease, Jamie? Is there a disease called obesity? Obesity can cause disease.
Yeah, that's better. Well, far better way to look at it. No, I even get mad at people, and I understand why they say.
Mo, who's a kickboxing champion, has a body like a Greek statue. Is that just a disease?
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I always get bothered when people say addiction is a disease, because it's like, I have Lyme disease. I've also had a substance abuse problem.
AIDS.
Like, I know.
Jamie had AIDS.
I had Lyme disease. There's a big difference. Like, I can choose whether or not to do heroin every day. I can't choose whether or not my Lyme disease is going to affect me. Like, there's a stark difference between the two, and I get very aggravated. And the medical industry does this all the time, though. Like, you wouldn't believe the amount of people that come into my job and say they have PTSD, and I'm like, what's your trauma? Well, I dated someone and they used to yell at me, and like, I'm in my head, I'm like thinking, PTSD was introduced as something soldiers deal with. And granted, I know people.
It used to be called shell shock.
Yeah, it used to be shell shock syndrome. And I know people internalize things differently, but I find it hard to believe that we're putting abusive relationships on par with explosives and bullets and like war, basically. Like,
they're getting ready to wipe us out, so we just can't handle anything. And I think. Yeah, these people that are so delicate and soft, they'll be the people that break first and just get annihilated.
Yeah.
But that's a different subject. What the fuck was I talking about? Oh yeah, this obesity thing on the radio. So yeah, they were going, support, so you're a doctor, are you? I was like, dude, I'm telling you, there's no medical journal ever written that says obesity is a disease. Yeah, I'm willing to go on that. Just the same as there's no medical journal that says there's more than 2 genders. It is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's insanity. And that's why they're putting it on the radio, because it works. It's making people dumb.
Yeah.
They're just seeing what they can get away with.
The thing,
if you can question their bullshit, and
well,
you can't.
You know what I heard today that is so far beyond
hang on,
regressive.
Before I finish, then I went one further and went, I figured it out. If obesity becomes a disease, then that's going to be great for insurance companies, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
because then it's a pre-existing condition, and they're not going to pay out. And if you start applying, they're going to treat it as a pre-existing condition, and your premiums are going to be unaffordable.
Well, now here's the other thing too. Oh my God, hold on.
Obesity isn't disease. Obesity is an insurance scam.
Well, and because here's the thing. Now think about what the medical industry in America does as far as things like cancer and stuff like that. Like if you try to offer a natural cancer cure and market it as that, the FDA gets on your ass real quick. So I mean, what they're basically doing when they say obesity is a disease now is you can now have the medical industrial complex infringe upon gyms, health food, nutrition, like anything that is outside of the medical complex trying to help people with their weight. You can now have the medical regulatory industry impose itself upon and basically say, well, you're not allowed to treat diseases, you're not certified, or you're not,
Yeah, well then my boss goes, well, some people are obese because they broke a leg, they're old, so it is a disease, or they could be on drugs. So obesity can become a disease. It's like, no, it's not. The drug caused them to be overweight. Breaking their leg caused them to be overweight. It's obvious it's through something else. It's a symptom of something else.
I saw a thing today where you have people with...
And then I said, to my boss, I'm going to be late tomorrow. And he goes, why? I goes, I've got a disease where I fuck up waking up in the morning. And he wasn't having it.
Yeah.
I was like, that's not a disease then, And like, how come you don't respect my disease? And then I did that thing. Like, if you want to make up a disease, just pick 2 words and put "sia" at the end of it. So the first 2 things I use, a bottle of water and a guitar. So I'd go, water guitar-sia. See, sounds like a disease. Or the next thing I see is a pillow and a tub. So you go, pillow tub sia. I've got pillow tub sia, Jamie. Sounds like a real disease, ain't it? Or, what other 2 things can I see? I've got a picture and a speaker. Yeah, picture speaker seer. Yeah, I've got picture speaker seer. It means I can't get up in the mornings. And just say it like you mean it. I've got picture whatever it was. I can't picture speaker seer. There's just going to be so many made up fucking diseases, man.
Yeah. Well, now
here kids are going to get fat. If you tell kids that being obese isn't your fault and to accept it. And then I went on about that Vogue magazine where they had that fat bitch on the front with all the tattoos. And it's like, men are getting sick of these fat bitches telling us that it's sexy and it's brave to be in your underwear when you're overweight and fat.
Yeah.
It's not. It's not brave.
It's repulsive.
And I'm sick of these guys who, they're a 6 out of 10 when they're chasing like 4s.
Well, and you know what?
You're fucking up the numbers, guys.
And it's interesting that you bring this up, them trying to make obesity a disease, because I saw a thing this morning where you have...
So now a disease is beautiful.
well, here's the thing. You have people with disabilities now who are protesting against gene editing and CRISPR because they're saying that curing disabilities and diseases while still in the womb is robbing these people of their identities as a disabled person. So they're basically saying, if you have, like, my niece, for example, she's deaf. You have people who would think that my niece is disregarding her identity as a deaf person because she has a cochlear implant that helps her hear. But if you go beyond that and say, oh, well, they had a treatment so that they knew she was going to be deaf and they did some gene editing and made her so she was born able to hear, these people think that is robbing her of her identity as a deaf person. It's like identity politics taken to the most extreme, where it's saying these people need disabilities so they can be linked to this identity group. And it's like, it's them saying that, what holds them back is what is most important. Like, it's so ridiculous to think like that. Like, how could you be that backwards where it's like you need what is working against you in order to have this identity? Like, why can't you be a fully functional person and identify as something else?
Yeah, and then they was going to me like going, well, you're really skinny, you're probably about underweight. You must be diseased. And I was like, no, like, it was a lifestyle choice, if I'm honest. and it probably wasn't a good idea. It's because I grew up in pretty much safety. Like, I never had to worry about where, like, I knew a better meal was coming in a couple of hours, man.
Yeah.
So I never ate till I was full. It just never happened. I was never in that environment where food was anywhere close to being scared. It haven't been a scarcity. There's always about.
Yeah. Well, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's just like metabolism and things like that. Like,
Yeah, and I just wasn't hungry. I used to just go out for hours and hours, and hours, 12 hours a day, and then just eat something small and I get back.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if that's going to be next. If they come out and say we have gene editing that can make it so, you know, we can alter people's metabolisms, there could be no more fat people. And then you're going to have fat people come out and say, but they need their identities. In fact, I remember even in... Did you ever see the documentary, The Red Pill? That girl...
Yeah, yeah.
Remember,
really good, yeah.
the one guy is talking about the son he has, and he's like, the son... His ex-wife was trying to make the child fat so that he would identify with the mom more.
You see those girlfriends where the boyfriend pumps loads of food into them?
Yeah,
Seen
yeah.
that stuff, so. Bring that up. Bring that up on Google, Jamie. Bring some of that up.
Yeah, you have these guys who will try to make the women fat, and it's almost like they want to make them unappealing to everyone else. Like it's a method of controlling them.
I just don't get it, man. This is why I'm getting depressed. I just don't think I'm ever going to fit into society again. Ever. You still there? Did I lose you?
Yep, no, I'm still here.
Very cool. Yeah, the other, what other shit been going down? I did watch that film.
Oh, yeah, yeah. What'd you think?
Tell them what it's called so people know what film it's about.
It's Under a Silver Lake.
Yeah. Well, I was in a fucking shitty mood last night. I put it on. Fuck this film for the first 10 minutes. Fuck this. And then it got pretty good, actually. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It's a really well, like all the scenes are filmed very well. Every single scene was put together really well.
Yeah.
What did you think it was about?
You know, honestly, I don't even remember the end. I've watched it in pieces. It's weird because I downloaded it not even knowing what it was.
The end is the woman he's chasing is underground, and she just wants to stay there, and he just goes in.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Because the whole thing, it's like he's trying to figure out the secret messages in the band's music. I mean, the scene I love the most is when he shows up to the guy at the piano. Satan, basically. Yeah, yeah. He shows up and Satan's there, and Satan's at the piano being like, "Oh, you like Smells Like Teen Spirit?
It's you, dude.
I wrote it on
That's
piano."
Why you like the film.
Yeah, yeah.
He even runs like you.
He basically is
start
me.
Running like that, Jamie.
He basically is me,
He runs
being
like
like, I've decoded the messages in the music, and it's all written by Satan. Yup, it pretty much is me.
I think the film's about something else, man. That film's on my mind for a long time. So it starts off this guy, and it's in this very, it's like what we'd call the satanic Hollywood, right? Like everyone's really attractive, and they all fuck each other. It's kind of degenerate, and he gets loads of pussy, just all the time from these fit women. And there's this one girl he doesn't get, and he becomes obsessed with her, and tries to track her down, because all of a sudden she suddenly just disappears in the middle of the night, and he gets involved in this giant conspiracy to try and track her down. Like there's hidden messages in the music, but there's some real, actual, deep shit going on that he gets involved with. Like there's the dog killer that's going around.
Yeah.
And he finds the dog killer, and he's like, whatever, you don't give a shit. There's a mass murder.
I think at one point I was even questioning if he was the dog killer.
Yeah, I think you're meant to. Yeah, maybe no. And then there's this alien creature that's running around that looks like a woman that's like stabbing people. Remember that CCTV of that alien creature? So he finds that, and he's got evidence of an alien fucking murdering people, and he's like, don't give a shit about that. And then he goes down the rabbit hole of the conspiracy of trying to track this woman down. He solves the murder of a billionaire, and don't give a shit about that. And then when he finds the woman, there's nothing he can do. It was a total waste of time solving that conspiracy. He just goes home. Because the woman's in that cult, and she wants to die underground.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he gets obsessed in all these conspiracies, but the real ones that are staring him right in the face. And it kind of like it says a lot about us, how we look for all these conspiracies and maybe miss stuff that's right under our noses the whole time.
Yeah.
And he's kind of chasing. He can't figure out why that girl doesn't want to fuck him. So he's just obsessed with sex. And all this amazing stuff's landing on his lap, and he just doesn't register with him. He's probably found this cult, for fuck's sake, that's got pyramids under the ground. So there's like, yeah, kind of fucked up movie.
Yeah.
What was it called? Under a Silver Lake.
Under a Silver Lake. Yeah.
Well, it's such a good film. I might watch it again.
I need to.
And
I watched that. I watched that, and
Hollywood is controlled by this cult. There's this cult, underlying cult, and also how they were degrading the heroes before them, like walking on their graves, all the stars people before them, just showing how degenerate.
Yeah. I watched that and Bandersnatch this week, so I feel like my brain, as far as trying to process those movies, is just scrambled. I think as Bandersnatch goes, Netflix did a really good job. The people who do Black Mirror, have you seen that? That's
the Black Mirror I saw is when they all ride the exercise bikes to produce energy.
Black Mirror just put out this new special on Netflix, and you can choose. It's a choose your. The movie goes based on the choices you make.
Yeah, it's going to do like, it's an experiment to get data to see how you psychologically respond to stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
Man.
I'm sure it is, but it's weird because it just keeps going.
And then they're going to do a profile on Jamie, going, Jamie's a sicko, always picks the sicko option.
Well, you know what's interesting?
He wants to see sick stuff.
Good stuff. You know what's interesting?
They're going to lock you up, Jamie. Don't watch it, Jamie. They're going to lock you up, man.
It's funny, when I was doing it, I was able to predict what was going to happen. Like, there was one part in it where it's like, choose the book or choose the family photo, and I was like, pick the family photo, we're gonna kill Dad. And sure enough, that's what ended up happening in it.
Jamie's on the list.
I have a copy of it downloaded, though, which I don't know how, since you have to make choices, like if it just has part of the movie cut out or what, but I have a...
You'll just skip to a different chapter. You'll have chapters, and it'll be like, there's adventure books. You used to get these Ian Livingstone and Steve Jackson books.
Well, that's what it's about. Yeah, that's what it's about, where it's about a guy who is making a game that's essentially like the movie you're watching. And there's even a part in the movie where, the computer's telling him, like, I'm controlling you, and it's like the two answers you have to choose are like, I forget the one, but Netflix is one of the options, and you can be like, and then he'll be like, what's Netflix? And like, you then explain it to him, and then he goes to his therapist, and he's like, I'm being controlled by a program called Netflix from the 21st century.
So it's only through the computer. Once they mix that into video games too, dude, that's gonna be insane.
Yeah, I actually have a video game on my Xbox that's like that. It's like a choose your own adventure movie thing. It's by a British company. Watership Down is an animated series on Netflix. Not bad, guys. Yeah, Netflix, for as much heat as they get for being a SJW, promoting company, and most of the Obama cabinet is now running it. Every so often they get something that's really good and just doesn't have stupid politics infused into it. I haven't seen Watership Down. I'll have to check that out.
Apparently it's quite disturbing. That's that cartoon, isn't it? But
yeah. Big Chris just mentioned it.
Oh, what about that birdcage stuff that's going around? With Sandra Bullock.
It's funny. I watched a thing where I think he's a French YouTuber. Sargon does streams with him sometimes, where he was talking about some website did a review of it being like Bird Box or whatever the movie is about how white people don't want to see racism. And
just driving with a blindfold, and they're having to put a warning out going, don't try this, at the beginning of the film. People are trying to recreate Sandra Bullock driving with a blindfold.
Are they?
They've had to put a disclaimer on it saying this is not a good idea. I shit you not.
Oh man, you know what's
Thanks,
funny?
America.
You know what?
You know
what that reminds me of that I was thinking of this week. I watched Trump did a press conference about the government being shut down and the wall, and you know people made this remark. Oh, Via's Romanian. People made this remark about America heading into a idiocracy type state where like we're so dumb, and they think that Trump is a representation of that. But it's a weird sort of inversion I noticed where, you know, the people who think this are this intellectual class, these snobby media, Hollywood, academia type people, pedophiles, and
Jews.
And see, because of the points that Trump, I agree with Trump on, I realize he's not having to explain it to me. So when he's going up there, because let me tell you, Trump had to break it down like he is a kindergarten teacher, what a wall is in his speech. He was like, you know, drugs come in. He said there's these people. They drive up to the, they don't drive up to the port of entry. They drive past it till the fencing ends and come in. And they'll have a van. And it will have 1, 2, maybe 3 women tied up in the back. And they're human traffickers. And they're coyotes. And when they come here, it's women. Sometimes it's kids. Could be kids. A lot of times it's women, but sometimes it's kids. You know how Trump talks. And he's like, and you don't want to know what happens to them when they come to this country. Like, he put it out there. He was like, the wall is to stop human trafficking because you can't drive through a wall. Like, and he had to...
Yeah, but when I put the radio on at work, all I'm going to get is, Trump ruined Christmas for a 7-year-old. Ask them if they believed in Santa. I'm not going to talk about that. They're just going to talk about Trump ruining...
I know, but I realized, like, he's not breaking it down.
The news.
He's not breaking it down, though. This is a wall. This is what it does. This is how it works. Like, everyone should know what a wall is. He's not breaking it down for me. This is what I voted for him for. He's breaking it down for the leftists who, for some reason, aren't grasping this and are against it.
They're going to be listening to the Santa story.
Well, yeah, or they're going to hear it through the CNN mouthpiece. Speaking of which, I heard this when I was half asleep. I don't know if you've... I'm pretty sure...
It already sounds bad.
I'm pretty sure Alex Jones mentioned something about YouTube is now going to start having, like, Chiron-type graphics on top of things, like editing other people's content. Did I hear that right?
Yeah, I think so.
Something like...
Well, they already do it on Facebook. They tried adding, you know, what was it? Snoop's articles to every single article I post. Going, Snoop says this is crap. This is bullshit.
Yeah. Something like he said you could be watching a Trump video and it could be like
Snoop says this is racist. Snoop says this is bad.
Yeah, it's something about you could be watching a Trump speech and it'll have like CNN says Trump is full of... Yeah, fact-checking it on the bottom. The internet...
It won't be opinions, it'll be fact-checking.
As far as the main corner elements like Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all of it, Patreon, they're all going to crap real quick. Like I had said a while back that I think the internet real soon is going to end up more niche, where like everyone will just have their handful of websites that they go to. I mean, it sucks because it takes away the idea of kind of having large funding platforms that everyone congregates on. Where you
can easily... hear Alex Jones saying, it's all coming out of Silicon Valley. I'm telling you, Silicon Valley, they've raised the Antichrist, and I've got the evidence. There's a cult there. They're actually contacting these demons. That's why everything bad is coming out of Silicon Valley. He seems to be pretty serious.
Yeah, at this rate, there isn't much he's been wrong about. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's some AI that's been infected with Ultron.
It does kind of make sense.
They've built Ultron. That's what happened. It's Ultron. It's an evil robot that thinks it's going to save the world by infecting us all.
They had an article where I didn't like pay much attention to it, so sorry guys. But AI was doing its programming for the programmers, and it started cheating. Not only did it cheat, it hid the data from the programmers. It hid the evidence.
Yeah. Let me tell you, last night I watched this video, and it's, oh, whose channel is it? It might be Stranger Than Fiction. And it was a video, and they knew a lot of people wouldn't take to it, but it was this whole very well done piece about people in hip hop pointing to conspiracies about the government.
I tried to watch it, but they pulled it.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, try and find it for me again. Send me a link.
But it's about cloning. It's about cloning and like genetic high tech science and having people chipped and like just like intense, because it makes a very, very convincing case that all of this is going on. And not only that, like some of it, you know, it's like even if
hologram too, like I would be,
yeah,
I reckon some concerts have been done with holograms. They just haven't told people.
Maybe
not holograms. It's not technically a hologram, but you know what I mean, the kind of technology.
Well, yeah, like how they did the Tupac thing. I'm sure they've done it at award shows and not told us.
Wasn't that like mirrors though? I know it's getting technical. I don't think they have done it for hologram yet.
I don't know, but I mean, they've said they've had that mirrors. Project Bluebeam type capability for a while.
Have you watched Minds of Men yet? Did you watch it?
No.
Yeah, try and find that video and it's gone, so you have to try and re-find. Someone else would have uploaded it, I'm sure. Are there any questions in the chat?
I should have downloaded it. You're talking about the Melissa Melton and their documentary, right?
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't seen the whole thing yet. Isn't it? It's long as hell, right?
It is a slow start, but I think it's worth it, actually.
Yeah,
at the end it starts to pick up.
I need to download that and to watch it at work. I had my YouTube going while I was gone, so there's mad stuff in the mix.
That film I watched last night, I'm sure I'm missing loads of concepts in there, but
yeah, here it is. What? But yeah, it's Stranger Than, and they go in on just like control on celebrities and chipping them, and people in Hollywood kind of talking about this stuff and putting it in your face. And here's the thing I was going to say about videos like this is, you know, they'll say some things like Admiral Byrd discovered this technology and the Nazis went to Antarctica and it started in 1945. And it's like some of the tangent things, like, again, even if that part of the story isn't accurate and they developed the technology 10 years later in 1955 with Nazi scientists in America, like, you could have those minor details be wrong or slightly obfuscated or something like that, but the overall picture is right. I mean, Michael Jackson might still be alive and he could just be living out his life as a burn victim. Dave. Yeah. He could just be...
I'm a burn victim. I'm not Michael Jackson. Ow!
And especially like this guy, and I had seen that conspiracy before, but I never saw the clip of Akon talking about going out to the movies with him and him being dressed in a disguise and him being like, yeah, the girl almost recognized him because I kept calling him Mike and I forgot I was supposed to be calling him Dave. And it's like, wait, what? So his code name going out is Dave, and and then one of his bodyguards being like, you know, he thought the disguise looked like a burn victim.
It's not really evidence for cloning, though, is it? Someone called him Dave.
No. But, I mean, all the different lookalikes and the crazy pictures of him and his face, it's like, was he just having mad plastic surgery, or is it the clones?
I don't think he did have that much plastic surgery. I think his face does look the same as when he was a kid. It's just a nose job and a dimple.
Maybe. Or maybe it's different people. Who knows?
How dare you, James?
We've already had a First Lady transgender Michael Obama.
It's not transgender. She's still got a dom.
I get the industry is weird. I think about like all the time. They like think about the amount of people you know.
What about Amazing Desmond when they had all that? How did that still? How is that? Going down. Man.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how Child Protective Services aren't involved.
Did you see that video? Where
I think that
kid of a kid and it says Roofy on it.
Yeah, I don't even think. I'll tell you what. Even at this point, I'd go as far as to say, thinking of things from this angle, I bet you that Amazing Desmond, I bet you that the parents aren't even the parents, and that kid is probably a CIA prop. Like, that's, because, I mean, it's sitting down with Michael Alec. Not even that, it's sitting with a murderer. The person in that scene, fuck what's written on the wall behind, the person in that scene murdered his drug dealer. Why are they sitting side by side in a room together?
Yeah, exactly. Normally drug dealers and customers are like buddies. Best of the best.
I mean, it is just ridiculous. Like, the commonality between them is what? Nightclubs and drugs? Like, it's
yeah,
just...
talking of drugs, I got some Canadian weed for the first time.
Uh-huh.
It's pretty good. I'm honest. It's pretty fucking good.
But yeah.
It's a very nice experience to get some Canadian weed, and I got a lot of it. Like, this would retail in England for about £150 a quarter.
Mm-hmm.
So I managed to get it for 60 quid for a quarter.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a nice drug deal, isn't it? Because we're kind of buddies. Yeah, just like to try it. And it's the Lavender Kush. It's not actually a Kush, but it's from 3 different segments of the world. It's like Afghanistan, maybe, sort of Colombia, like wherever weed grows. It's from the 3 mountains combined. So there are 3 different skunks. I know they're skunk based. And then when they all combine, it just gives you this lavender taste. But it's such a... the way it's grown is immense. Like, having it legal, you can definitely tell they are quite ahead on that. Do you want... oh, I should send you a photo. Oh, you've probably seen it. But yeah, Canadian weed's definitely way better than the British. Bastards. But yeah, it's nice to get some weed from Canada. It's the first time, dude. Never had it. Jamie?
Yeah, hold on. I was trying to remember. There's something else I was going to say about when I was thinking about that Amazing Desmond thing. Oh, I remember. You know, I remember numerous people thinking when Justin Bieber first came out, like the face, like when he put out the song Baby and everything like that, and everyone would be like, who's that little lesbian chick? Like, it looked like a little girl at some points. And I mean, even Justin Bieber, there are videos online saying, you know, that Justin Bieber could be a girl that transitioned very young. And I don't put it past Hollywood or the entertainment industry to do that. Like, to put out artists and people like that who have already transitioned and just not say anything about it. Like, people have thought that about Jennifer Aniston. I think it's plausible with her.
I don't know, man. I'm definitely convinced about Michael. Because I didn't realise, are those kids adopted?
I don't know.
Google it, check it out. Let's check it out, let's find out, man. Let's go down that rabbit hole. Pretty sure those kids are adopted. And Obama likes fucking dudes. Let's face it, he loves fucking dudes.
Yeah, I mean that's in the obvious from the all the Pizzagate stuff.
Well, Joe Rogan's gonna get Kanye pest on.
Is he?
Yeah, it looks like it'll probably happen when he gets back.
Hmm.
The next show will be Kanye, by the looks of it.
I'm sure that's gonna be a trip.
Any more film recommendations? So I like Neon Demon and the other one.
I don't know. We can ask the chat.
What was that?
You know,
what
and
was
that's
that one you
that's
was
the
mentioning before.
well, and that's I don't remember.
Not
I was
the
talking about
adventure
the
roleplay one. Not that one. I don't think I fucked it
the Under Silver Lake. Those
That
were the
was
two.
good, yeah.
There's in the chat. Both Dave and Big Chris were talking about Watership Down. And Dave also mentioned the house that Jack built.
With Amazing Desmond, we're getting that shit in the UK now, like transgenders teaching kids in libraries. It's like, what the hell? On Stephen Crowder's Facebook, he found a transgender site where they're selling penis dildos to kids. Did you see that?
No.
Yeah. Go on Stephen Crowder's Facebook, and it's like the second post down. At least Stephen Crowder looks like he's alive again. That was his comeback. Transgender kid dildo.
Well, yeah, he said he was taking time off for the winter. Crowder.
Need some questions in a chat. I'm out, dude.
Oh shit, I have this in the same program this time. Ugh. Some of this stuff is so ridiculous. Trans kids. If you think sexualizing your child or encouraging your child to be sexualized or sexualized as the other sex, we can't find common ground. Not only can we not find common ground, you should feel immense debilitating shame for every second you breathe. You know, see, and this is the thing, is like I'm almost starting to wonder with some of these cases where it's like, you know, it's that some of the people involved in this are props. Like, you gotta have like the system, like, you know, like Desmond is amazing. Is probably fucking doesn't even have parents. They probably have handlers. Like City of God. You know, that's an older movie, right? I don't think I've seen that. I was gonna say the thing I was talking about Stranger Than Fiction video.
Yeah, before I forget, someone showed me this. Go on Google and go on the best gore site. You'll be alright because there's nothing on the main screen, so we'll be alright for YouTube. And scroll down the bottom of the page and look at the advert banner.
Wait, where am I going?
I think it's called. Just type in gore on Google, and it's like the first site. It's like the best gore site or something. You should be safe clicking it on YouTube because there's nothing on the front page. But if you scroll all the way to the bottom of that page, that's like the site where people go watch snuff. You know, it's like the big gore thing. Scroll down the bottom. There's a banner, and it looks like it's like the best gore site or something. Where it's got all those videos and stuff. And you scroll down the bottom.
I don't know where I am.
Blatantly
but
got kiddie porn. Yeah, that's the right site you're on. Scroll all the way to the bottom. It's got its banner all the way to the bottom. Got an advert banner. That dating site. That's it. The dating site was a guy getting a blowjob. Is that a kid sucking him off? Go back on it.
I mean, it looks like it. Yeah, there's no breasts.
That's a kid sucking off a bloke.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Register for free. This is not a dating site. It even says this is not a dating site. I mean, yeah, clearly not.
Ridiculous. I've completely. See if you got it.
Register, dude.
I have to read subtitles. Hell no. Oh. But yeah.
You're in the right area as well.
I was gonna say, I really think a lot of that whole Desmond is amazing type stuff.
Did you just see that banner? That's from Google.
Is it?
That's a Google. How else do you get those banners on there?
I don't know. I mean, they could do private advertising and just insert the text themselves, like have a deal with someone.
That seems a little bit. That's like a really.
I might be able to figure out actually, because I know the AdWords have a.
Are we meant to report? Surely that's illegal. Surely that's classed as child porn. Just that JPEG.
It's coming up saying ads blocked.
Surely that JPEG is illegal. I thought all art decapitating people was classed as illegal too. The fuck is that?
Huh?
The fuck is that advert?
I'm trying to figure out. Image link.
Should we not report that? Is there any point reporting it?
I don't know.
We know what it is, dude. It's pretty blatant, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's going to look like a normal hookup site, but it's going to be kids behind the scenes.
Does anyone in the chat know how I can? I mean, I'm sure. Let me and see what the link goes to without going to it. Copy link address.
I'm surprised you're not already registered.
I have no interest in blowjobs from children. Some nonsense.
That is
shrunken link.
blatant.
That is a child. Once you point it out, yeah. You know what I thought was interesting as far as things I found out in Hollywood.
How is that not interesting? Dude, I just found a piece.
Well, I mean, the thing is like.
Just there.
I almost.
You just gotta look. I wonder how often we miss it.
Yeah, that's just put in your face and you don't notice.
Yeah.
Well, I even saw a video this week. Let me try to find it. Supergirl, feminist, gun control, where there's that show on CW based off the comic book Supergirl, and someone put together this video of in the one season just all the clips of them talking about like feminist, gun control, fuck men, like just liberal messaging, and I didn't realize how much of it is actually in the show. Like,
yeah, just drop it in.
Oh my god, like I know it's there, and there's sometimes it's right in your face, but I mean it's just like when you see it condensed like this, it's just like fuck.
And I bet they do a pace lead. They go pace lead. So that's a hypnosis trick. Say 3 things which are definitely true, then 1 which is leading, and that's why they go. As you listen to my voice, as you feel, you know, the breeze. Because that's true, you are hearing my voice. As you're sat there listening to my voice, so you sat there, you listen there, and you feel the breeze, you'll feel more and more relaxed. Then suggestion and pace again. Yeah.
But
just drop it in there, man. You just want to drop it in.
One of the things about the video though that it starts off with. Let me try to play some of it here.
Did you see on Facebook that cannibalism? That doctor cut off a bit of people, 2 volunteers. And he surgically removed some of their fat body, you know, cut something off them, and then fried it and ate and fed it to them.
I did hear about that, and the thing I was going to mention before, though, the Stranger Than Fiction video that I was talking about with the cloning and everything like that, it also gets into that cannibalism aspect, and when I was watching it with a friend of mine, I'd said, Neon Demon. I said, this is the same thing we watched in that movie, where you had this Hollywood model scene where, you know, they're all trying to be glamorous and everything like that, and then behind each other's backs they're killing each other and eating the bodies, thinking they will absorb that person's, you know, whatever. It's really ridiculous how often it's in your face. On the screen right now, I have the thing, though, that, you know, it's one of those funny things where Milo said it, if you have someone who's saying they're a male feminist, start the clock on the allegations, because Supergirl, Arrow producers, suspended amid sexual harassment allegations by Warner Brothers. And that's...
What sort of sexual allegations?
Who knows? But it's just one of these things where you have all this crazy messaging in the things about feminist this, women are empowered, stand up to the men, this and that, and then the producer of the shows gets an allegation.
What about Kevin Spacey delivering a pizza?
Oh my god! Wait, delivering a pizza?
Yeah. I was going to open the show like that. I was going to have you call me on video, right? I was going to be in my kitchen. I was going to get you to say there's been some allegations about Paul, and you should just know what they are. And then when I answer the phone, I'd be in my kitchen, washing my hands, going, Jamie, you know, there's nothing to worry about.
What the fuck?
Me and you go back a long way. You're not going to let these rumors get in the way of the truth, are you? Well, you wouldn't do that, would you, Jamie? You need me, Jamie. Yeah, he delivers a pizza. There you go.
Oh my god. You know, and that, considering the other thing, it's like they're trolling. I mean, it is really like Kevin Spacey is trolling people like Lift
It's
the Veil.
working. If you click on the YouTube video, 50% don't like it. So that means 100% more. It's big, you know. More people are for it than not. One, it's yeah, 2 and 3, the support of Kevin Spacey.
Even they keep saying even the hat retired since 2017 hat after sexual assault. Like, he is trolling. What the fuck? Cause you know him handing them a pizza, what that's doing to the conspiracy community online. Like, they are decrypting this. Like,
It is a bit weird, isn't it?
yeah.
No story makes it. There's no coincidences in the media, especially when it comes to Kevin Spacey. Everything's planned to a T.
Yeah.
This isn't just some random.
You know what the thing is. Even I would bet money they sat him down, and it was, you know, them going to that one boy saying, "Listen, here's the movie role. You're going to be the boy that, you know, Kevin Spacey molested. You're going to come out and say it. That Kevin's going to take a break for 2 years. Then we're going to do the comeback. Kevin's going to put out this weird video where he's acting in part, talking about the situation, but not talking about the situation. And then he's going to...
Or again, they're just saying what the public will put up with.
Yeah.
Just mind control. It's just all
it's all a show, I bet.
Same with the Desmond. Like, will anyone actually step in and do something? Are there any men left? Nope. Like, he can perform in a gay bar. The gay bar's still running.
Oh, I'm sure, because I bet you the thing is I bet you it's all it's all brought to you by the CIA. Like, again, watching that thing last night with a friend of mine, someone made the remark where they said the CIA is Hollywood, and he was like, you know, really? And like, it's that simple? I said, you know, Frank Zappa said that the entertainment industry is the propaganda wing of the Pentagon, basically.
Frank Zappa's dad was CIA, wasn't he?
I think so. But I mean, there's all sorts of weird things like that. You know, Jim Morrison comes, like, fucking just basically gets plopped into a band with no real musical talent. Like, he can't sing that great. He's just babbling out messaging. And meanwhile, like, it's his father's doing the whole Gulf of Tonkin thing. Like, his father's running the war, and Jim Morrison's running the anti-war hippie scene. And it's like they're controlling both ends. And you got to think of all of it like that, like the shit going on in Paris.
Yeah, but you won't accept it under Trump, though. That Trump is just the same thing as this peace movement you're talking about.
I mean, I think to some extent...
He's the nationalist movement. He ain't done nothing, bro.
Well, the thing is the movements can be like that. The individual people, I mean, I do always think people have their own agency. You know, that's why we think the idea that you know, as people start to speak out against it, that's why they get taken out. People think Chester Bennington was taken out because he was going to blow the whistle on something, and Chris Cornell...
Yeah, but it's interesting they were all hanged, because that's very Masonic.
Yeah.
Don't you think that the hanging's weird? Isn't that what they teach in a Masonic ritual, that if they put a noose around your neck?
Yep. And have you roll up the one pant leg.
It is weird that they hang themselves. Maybe that kind of... Because they always hang themselves, man, in a spectacular fashion.
So, I mean, I think, to some extent, yeah, Trump is still part of the club. He's been in the club. But there's also, with him, I always think I never think he's never been reliant on it. You know, like, someone had come out and said at one point, like, you know, Trump doesn't make his money in smoke and mirrors. He makes it in bricks and mortar. Like, he's a real estate guy. Like, he's probably got more mob ties than anything else. Like, because New York Mafia has always run the real estate business. You gotta...
I think the Russia stuff would be happening to Hillary, even if she won. I think the Russia stuff...
was a pre-planned narrative? Like a global one?
Yeah, it's about Russia, because we've always wanted to build up a war with Russia.
Yeah. Well, I think it's especially
it's not exclusive to Trump.
And it's to rationalize NATO. I agree with you on that. I think the Russian narrative would have been running anyway. That's true. They would have said Russia did something anyway to build up that global tension.
And Owen Benjamin and his Man on the Moon. Everywhere I look on YouTube is about hoax moon landing now. It's amazing what sort of reach he does actually have. Everyone's talking about the moon landing now.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw his debate with Harrison from InfoWars, and you know it was just so funny. Like the one part where Harrison's like, "I'm gonna show this video," and it's this grainy ass clip of them dropping a hammer and a feather, and them both falling at the same time. And Owen goes and he's like, "You know, I gotta show you this movie, The Shining." And Harrison's like, "Oh, I room 332. No, yeah, I know about it." And Owen's like, "No. They have a hallway full of blood," and he's just like just making a joke out of it, being like, you know, in movies they do whatever. Like, you can see crazy things. Like, that's what this was. It was just a Hollywood production.
For me, it's the interview when I've never seen that interview before when they come back from the moon. And like, it's obvious they've told Buzz Aldrin not to speak at all.
Yeah.
And the other guy's like, "Yeah, Armstrong, you tell him. You don't want to say anything." And Armstrong looks shady. Like, you'd think there'd be like an NBA team or something, just laid back going, "Yeah, we've been to the moon smoking cigars. Yeah, bro, we've been on the moon, bro, and back." They don't look like they've been to the moon and back, if I'm honest. They
No,
look shady.
it looks like they've been tortured or something.
Maybe that's why the Russians are so scared, because it just shows what mind control the Americans actually had. They were like, "Watch this. We can convince the world. We can convince our people that you think you've got like a socialist control. Watch this. We can convince a whole nation we went to the moon." And Russia went, "Fuck, man. Americans are more crazy than us."
That's a funny way of looking at it, but I'm sure it's true. I mean, I thought the craziest thing I saw was Owen Benjamin doing the one clip where he's like, "Look at this shit. It's cardboard and tape." Like, he's like, "It looks like you gave a school kid Adderall and just let them to make a art project and like cardboard and tape." Yeah, that was the craziest, because he was right. Some of the shit looks like a fucking heavy wind would blow it apart, let alone space travel and radiation. And
He has convinced me. I used to be like, "Man, probably might have done it." I was like 50-50, but now I'm just like, yeah, there's not much chance, is there?
yeah, no. I see. The thing I think is funny is everyone's under the assumption with him, like, all right, you saw the moon, and next thing you know, you're gonna see the Earth's flat. It's coming. There's a dome, and Owen's already like, the guy from NASA said there's a firmament on his tomb, and it's like, yeah. So you don't even know where you are. But Owen, the thing that he realizes about it is, and he broke this down to, I think, Harrison or one of the other podcasts, where he said the whole point of it is to get you looking up instead of looking in. Like, we're not supposed to
Like that film.
Yeah. It's like you're not supposed to be paying attention to like yourself and self-improvement and finding deeper answers within yourself. They want you looking into the cosmos and, you know, having Neil deGrasse Tyson tell you that the Earth is an oblate spheroid. Yup. Wine and cheese. Hey, at least he wasn't trying to roofie them.
There's that. Dude, yeah, it's heartbreaking. Owen's right.
Yeah.
It's kicked off all over YouTube now, like everyone's talking about the hoax. It's amazing how one guy with a fire
Yeah.
can make such a giant talking point. To the point it's even on InfoWars, for God's sake.
Yeah. Yeah, it basically shows that he's leading the trend in that sphere. Because, you know what the thing is about Owen is he's entertaining, and I've been trying to say, like, he's basically fulfilling the role that Alex Jones was doing years ago, where it's like he's not really going with the news trends and this minute-by-minute stuff, but instead he's diving in deep on, like, a handful of topics periodically. Like, I did hear Alex say that they're going to start doing documentaries again, which I really hope they do, because I missed that part of InfoWars. Whereas, like, every couple
Yeah,
months...
it's because the news moves so quickly that by the time they do a documentary, there's
It's,
so much, it just
yeah.
ends.
Yeah, well, that's true. It never ends. You're right. Now it's just this like continuous, you know.
And yes, you do what Melissa Melton did and just do like one small subject, and that's still a 4-hour film.
Yeah.
Just doing one aspect of MK Ultra and how big that thing was. That film's crazy, and you gotta watch it. Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, and seeing that's the thing. Like, even going into the MK Ultra. And I saw one on the I think I had mentioned the Corvette report about oil, you know, people and them getting involved in the medical fields.
Yeah, that's where mental health all started, so like psychiatry.
Yeah, with the Rockefellers and these.
It wasn't for individual people, it was always to
be wholesaled.
Yeah, to the whole society would be run on that.
Yeah.
Man.
And that's the thing. So when I hear like, and even the applications of it in eugenics and everything like that. So to what Big Chris was saying earlier about my issues with Molyneux and his you know perspectives of late with the IQ and the race context, like he is continually applying it to a racialized context, and then when someone writes an article in general saying that. You know, even just mentioning, not even like mentioning in a condemning fashion, but talking about IQ, trying to make his case that it's pseudoscience, and then saying that, you know, racists will point to IQ as explanations for superiority and things like that. Molyneux immediately takes it personally and, like, has to defend against. And it's almost like a guilt of conscience where it's like, why can't you just acknowledge, like, yeah, eugenicists point to race as one of several reasons as to why they think certain people are better than others, and it's just a historical fact. Like, you don't need to fight against it unless maybe you feel some sort of way about it. Like, but again, a lot of this stuff was constructed with these end goals in mind. Not to say you can't get a positive application out of this knowledge in some regard. Like, I'm sure there are some people, you know, that in the Nazi concentration camps, they were doing fucked up experiments, but I'm sure 20 years later, there might be a surgery or a treatment that was developed out of the knowledge gained there. Doesn't mean the end product is bad or has to be tainted by the origins, but you shouldn't have to deny the origins to have that end product.
Alex Jones was thinking that the bird box thing was like 5G technology, making that it could make people kill themselves and turn them into like a zombie nation pretty quick. The switch, man, we'll all be eating each other.
Probably. I don't doubt they have it. Or they'll just shut off everyone's chips. I mean, that's the thing with that thing I was watching last night. The idea of chipping everyone. Again, if it was just in a vaccine or something, I mean, that means I'm sure they've already got a handful of the population, like more are chipped than not chipped.
Well, the Nazis were doing that in the 40s. They could have put an injection in. And then a nano robot would go into the bloodstream and it would find its way to the right part of the brain to link itself to. And they could use ELF, like electronic low frequency, to trigger that part of the brain.
Mm-hmm.
And all through MK Ultra, they got to the point where they did remote, because they just realised that your brain gives off electronic frequency, so if you hit it with electronic frequency back or magnetic, you can just turn things on, switch it off.
Yeah.
And that can be done remotely now, I guess.
Yeah. And that's the thing, that thing I was watching last night about the cloning.
And then they got the
all
nanotechnology and McDonald's food, for God's sake.
Yeah. Oh my god, I forgot all about that. Nanotech and McDonald's. We're living in a fucking sci-fi horror show.
We gotta be near the end game, surely.
You know, that's the name of the new Avengers movie, Endgame. Funny you'd say that. I remember there was at one point it was obvious with Hollywood with the messaging where you had all of these movies like Dark Knight, The Dark Tower, The Dark, Transformers, Dark Knight, Dark of the Moon, like everything just got dark for a minute.
If you go on McDonald's webpage, it's got a bit about nanotechnology on their actual webpage. It says we don't use it. And it's like, if you put that on your webpage, you blatantly do use it. It's a bit weird. Why would you put that on your webpage? It's got this one bit that says nanotech. And you click on it, and it says, we do not use nanotech. It's like, well, that is suspicious. You're just putting out having a whole section on your webpage dedicated to nanotech about how you don't use it. Give me a break. Come on. See? It's on their web, ain't that weird?
Yeah.
They blatantly are using it then. Nanotech and a giant picture of a burger. Yeah. See, it's hidden in plain sight, guys. It's in the Coke, it's in the Big Mac, and it's in that apple pie. Stay away from them three. You should be good. When's the last time you ate at McDonald's?
I don't know. A while ago.
Probably had 3 in the last 5 years, I think. So I'm all nanoteched up.
Well, the thing to think about is like,
why is that on their webpage, dude?
I don't know, because, you know, again, if we're talking about chipping people and all that stuff starting in the 40s, I mean, it almost makes you want to assume that they had this stuff. If we're like, people have always said it as in the conspiracy circles, like...
Maybe that's what McDonald's always was. Just an experiment. First of all, see how much abuse parents would subject their kids to, based on it is abuse feeding kids that, really. I know it sounds harsh, but it kind of is. And it's just an experiment, see if they could get a nation onto like just eating shit and loving it.
Yeah.
And then it's not food. We all know it doesn't rot. You can like leave it for like 50 years. I've seen you can leave it for 50 years, or whatever, and it doesn't even change.
Yeah, I've seen the videos about that with some of the McDonald's food though. But yeah, you're right. The amount of time you can just leave it out, and that like the bread won't mold or anything like that.
It's just one giant experiment, like with the radio, just seeing what people will actually put up with, seeing how far they've actually pushed the genetic. Yeah, I don't know. I think Satan's taken over. It's got to be free will, hasn't it?
Yeah.
You know, on the other side of the spectrum, you've got people drinking smart water, for God's sake. So they're fucked on both sides.
In a further twist of the saga, the scientists behind the Jazz have friends of theirs says it used taken from Penn inventory of consumer products using nanotypes. Says the inventory misrepresented his conclusions. Weight would sound titaniums in some drinks, but not TO2. I mean, it's crazy even though that, like, some of these companies are having to deny this stuff because it's, like, just out there.
Yeah, but it needs to turn on the 5G first.
Are known to be present in 94 products on the market, from everything to donuts to drinks. Nano-sized titanium dioxide is the main culprit in foods and beverages, according to the report, which claims that studies have
food fresh,
indicated these particles may play an important role in the initiation and exacerbation of gastrointestinal inflammation by absorbing bacteria fragments and carrying them across the gastrointestinal tract. And it's crazy because those are the types of ailments that are like having crazy influxes, like stomach issues. That's why you see all the stuff about probiotics and people needing probiotics, because that concerns all that bacteria in the gastrointestinal area. So it's interesting how people are having all these issues in an area where presumably this stuff is just becoming more and more present.
And when they turn 5G on, it's just going to be insane. We're going to get rewired to the max. And just walk around in blue sky with orbs flying around.
Well, and you've also even had, I've heard people talking about for a while, smart dust. The idea that they have like an aerosolized. I mean, I even remember them talking about aerosolized like RFID stuff, where it's like you can just spray things and tag it and track it, and because it's little nanoparticles. Who knows? I mean, it makes me aggravated anytime I get calls at work and it's people just going, why isn't the world perfect? And I'm just like, you don't even know. Like, you're wondering why someone's hungry at night, and it's like, there's more than enough food to feed everyone. Like, we're making fucking Frankenfoods. You think we couldn't feed the world if we really wanted to? Like, you don't even know what the problem is. Like, it is just beyond. Like, the means to do all of it is right there, and it's because people just want someone over them, and this whole evil structure where, like you said, it's free will. It's like a vampire. You have to invite the evil in. Like, I mean, it's the one thing, especially that I have difficulties with in working in a mental health field, is like, you have a lot of times with people where the easiest way to put it is like, they have the roadmap. They know what's going on. They know where they're at. They know what the problems are. But they can't seem to draw the line from location A to location B.
I know exactly how that feels. I'm one of those people, because I go to bed in a box, I wake up, watch a box, travel to work in a box, to sit in a box, in front of a box, and I come home in a box, to sit in a box, to be entertained by a box.
Yeah, but
we could do with an internet shortage for like a couple of months.
Yeah. You're able to rationalize things, though. The thing I'm talking about is people who can't.
Yeah, but for how much longer?
I don't know. I think you'll be able to
snap eventually.
I don't know. It's just interesting. Like, a lot of people that, like this one guy calling up talking about how, people aren't the same and they have different aptitudes and things like that, but then wondering why life isn't fair for everyone. And I'm like, well, you just said why, because people aren't the same. Like, it's that I'm talking about, where it's like there's a point A to point B, but they can't draw the line between the two.
What's the next generation going to be like, though? It's going to be insane.
I don't know, because I've seen some data that says the next generation, like, the thing I think is a problem, like, I don't know if you saw my video about, I called them elderly millennials, where it's like the people of my generation that look at the world the same as our parents, and it's like, they all look at it through this lens of scarcity, where it's like, there's limited resources, so we need to share it and make everything as fair and even as possible, and it's like, like, the new generation looks at things like me, where it's like, why don't we just find a way to make more resources? Like, why don't we have a world of abundance than a world of scarcity? Like, and it's like we're in this generation where it's like most of the people around us, like I guess it's like the old, like, it's almost like there's an upside to the sort of disposability of technology and the luxury of it that this younger generation has sort of internalized, where it's like they know there's always more stuff. Like, so they don't think in this limited mindset that the older generation does. So it's like not as fearful in a way that, like, I mean, granted, if things collapse, who knows if they'll be able to hack it. They probably won't in that regard. But at least as far as thinking the world's a giant pizza pie to just be cut up and divvied out, they don't view things like that. So I have hope in that aspect, because that's where a big part of that fetishizing socialism comes from, where it's almost like an acceptance that there's only so much to go around.
I think that's it.
Yeah, I suppose.
I think that's my news roundup, man.
Those 2 hours.
No way.
Yep.
What a weird world, man.
Yeah, it really is. We're in the future.
Well, we've only got till October to live. Then we
Really?
die. Yeah, because we're going on that holiday.
Go in the castle.
We're definitely going to die.
Get sacrificed.
It looks like it. Well, like say, you got to invite evil in. Why don't we invite goodness to them? To go uninvited, bro.
Bring a crucifix and a priest.
Yeah.
But
What if we do get some good video footage though? You never know. You might just see loads of limos just hanging around and that's all the evidence we need.
yeah, or maybe even people walking in masks.
Yeah.
Like some creepy eyes wide shut shit.
Well, do you think anything will go down in that? Even if you just talk to locals about that place. I can't imagine something wouldn't go down in that place at Halloween.
Yeah.
I do smoke a lot of weed and get excited. Because like it would be bad if we went there and nothing happened. That would be pretty fucking bad.
You know what you know what I wonder about? This is gonna sound crazy on my part, but and this is just, you know, because of the dark things I've seen online. And again, the video I was watching last night was talking about rich people and the idea of like basically the movie Hostel, where it's like, you know, you have rich people that will have like underground bunkers and stuff, and they'll just grab a poor person off the street and then just tie him up and chop off a leg and maybe fry it up and eat it while the person is still there freaking out, and just all sorts of ungodly things. And then my brain thinks about how when I drive to work, again, working in a mental health field, every night I pass by a door into a mountain. Like, I know it goes underground. It's a underground communications bunker. There's old pictures of it from the 50s. But then right up the road a little bit is a federal communications FEMA building. And I mean, that's got, you know, bulletproof glass on every window. And I mean, if a bomb went off, that's where you would want to be. Because the place is impenetrable. My mom knows a guy who does their computer security stuff. So there's that. And then we're also right down the road from FDR's library and his house. And so one of the World War II president's places. And like, so at my job lately, it's been really quiet. There's been no people lately. Like, and some of the
reckon
people,
they're in the mountain?
some of the people have just vanished. Maybe. Like, I've always wondered, like, at first it would be in kind of a joking context where, like, some of the people who come in that are, like just really scrambled and paranoid. Like, I've always wondered, because there is, like, a shelter right on the same road as that door. So I've always wondered if people just walk out.
Why don't you just act like a homeless dude for the night?
Maybe. Go undercover.
So you get picked up. Yeah.
I could. Might be dangerous. I'll need to get some secret cameras or some
Yeah, but
shit.
we do need to do a dangerous mission, I reckon. Be good bonding.
We could. I mean, but I just wonder if people pop out of that mountain or snatch them up and are like, we're watching you, and then just throw them back out. But who knows? It's probably darker shit. I'm telling you, if you were to see the layout of this one area where it's like door into a mountain, then a few doors up, or like a little bit up the road, like just maybe not even like a couple feet, like then it's like a hospital.
How far away?
That no one goes to, or no one knows of anyone ever working at, or it's like they know it's there, they know it's been rebuilt, but It doesn't get used for anything that I'm aware of, just some hospital. And then it's like a few doors down, homeless shelter, group home type people. And it's like, what the fuck? Government underground base, hospital, homeless shelter, like door to door, like they're neighbors. Like what a creepy setup.
Tunnels to the hospital.
Well, see, and that's the other thing. We also, right by all this, I'm telling you, Paul, all of these places are under a mile away from each other. Like, they're, if you were to, in the grand scheme of things, they're practically all next door to each other. Then you have a early, shut down, underground psych facility that was, like, one of the first in the States of, like, the really big ones. And, I mean, there's just footage of people breaking in and going all through that place online. I've been in there. But I'm sure that whole area has underground tunnels. My mom knows it does because she used to work there. And she said that there were some patients that were so out of it, they wouldn't even want to take them outside. So they had underground tunnels to connect them from one building to another.
That's the story they gave,
Yeah, I mean, once they shut that shit down, there's always construction crews up there.
To smuggle people to this underground mountains.
There's always construction crews up there, but they're never fixing the buildings that are all falling apart. So, I mean, I guarantee you they're running those tunnels from elsewhere to somewhere else, and this whole area is so sketchy.
I bet James Holmes went to that hospital.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Plus, IBM is one of the main facilities around there. I bet you they're doing crazy shit, and no one would ever know. IBM developing mind implant chips, and they're just using them at the underground communications bunker. Like, yeah. I wonder how you would go about finding out about that shit.
I told you how, man. You could be in there in a couple of minutes, couldn't you?
Maybe.
You go in, look like a tramp homeless dude.
Well, you know, it's interesting, actually.
You could pull it off, get really drunk and stoned, piss yourself.
I was going to say, a friend of mine, she at points in time was a heroin addict, and she was homeless and, you know, would live in buildings that, you know, were abandoned with other people. And she said she met a guy who, at one point, like, he was just stoned or drunk or something and ended up going in this place and ended up going through an underground tunnel and popped out in, like, the next town over. Like, he was just wasted and walking, and I guess just didn't realize how far he had gone and figured he had to go from the one end to the other, and said he popped out in the next town over. And if you hear this from, like, a homeless junkie, you're going to be like, oh, yeah, whatever. But it's like, I don't doubt it.
Yeah, but sometimes that could explain why they're so fucked up in the first place.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, I should try to investigate.
Well, how far is it from your house?
Not walking distance, but not a far drive. Like a mile, if that. It's like a mile. Like, it's...
Could you send a drone there from your house? Because they go quite far.
Yeah.
They go about 2 miles.
I don't think so. I mean, there is a local college that you might be able to do a drone from there over to it. That wouldn't be an issue. Yeah, but you want to do it from somewhere you I could do it. My cousin's house is practically right across the street from it. I could do it from my cousin's house, definitely.
Yeah, you need to spy on that, really.
Yeah.
Or just talk to people. Just talk to the fucking...
Yeah, Dave, you drove through that area with me. Yeah, there's a road. Remember, everyone wants to come find the exit. Yeah, it's weird. Definitely creepy though. Dave, do you know of like that hospital that's on that road? Does anyone know of that being used with anything? I'll pull it up on Google Maps. I can show you it. I mean, it shows the door into the mountain.
Yeah, you don't normally see doors in mountains, if I'm honest. Not something you normally see.
Cheney Drive. See, and this is the other crazy thing, is when New York State Emergency Management is Hillcrest House, when the a thing right after 9/11, you had let me see, where would it be? You had a point when like they deemed it wasn't safe for George Bush and oh yeah, here's where it comes out. Where you had it where they said it wasn't safe for George Bush or President or George Bush and Vice President Cheney, and they had to hide them somewhere, and they brought Cheney to this area. And I thought how funny it would be if they brought Cheney to Cheney Drive, where they have this underground base. And you can see right here, I don't know if I can do sideways, can you? I mean, here you can see the doorway. Oh, I have it on the wrong screen. Hold on. I'm sorry about that, everyone. Here you can see, like, the concrete area. There's a fence right here in front of it, and then there's a door right here. Oh. What are these? Air?
I would check out Reddit, see what people say on Reddit about it.
What is that thing? Car? Oh, maybe this is... Okay. Yeah, see? Here's the door into the mountain. I also assume the hospital is fire. I know everything in that location is still active, but it is also a FEMA base. Yeah, that emergency management New York place. And then they have like little satellite things here.
See if anyone talks about it on Reddit.
Some garage. Here's the hospital, Hudson River Psychiatric Center. So you have a psychiatric hospital right up the road from it.
Who funds the hospital?
And then whatever this thing is, here's some sort of
who funds the hospital.
Some sort of communication tower thing, which you wonder if that's for the bunker or if that's for the hospital, considering it's right down the road from it. Snow Terrace, Hillcrest House, and that's the homeless thing. Well, that's what I'm saying, is like, tell me this isn't the greatest setup for an MK Ultra thing right here, where it's like, in this corner right here is the door to the underground base, here's a psychiatric center, and then here's the Hillcrest House, which is like a shelter.
You need to watch the rest of the films. I think they might talk about that place. It does look familiar.
And then let's see, what's this thing over here? This is another... Oh, that's the one building by the road.
Well, yeah, if you want to do crazy shit to people, you need a lot of space so no one sees when they go, like, running away or whatever. You want to keep them well out of the way of society.
Dave said, yeah, we live in Raccoon City. Basically, that's kind of what the mayor said when he wanted to cut the busing. So don't make it, they're raccoons. But yeah, that's the thing, and it's like... underground base right here, and this is all on a hill. Like, that's the other thing, you can't really see it in this elevation.
I've seen it before. You've seen the Mine of Men film, I'm sure. That's where they moved the MK Ultra project to.
I wouldn't doubt it, especially with the history of psychiatry in here. And that's the thing, is when they
You'll find out that hospital's name and find out who funded it, what foundations they had running with them.
7 reviews.
You'll find it's Dr. Mengler or something.
I didn't know people were raped and murdered there, and I found out about more what happened there because a staff member in my school used to work there. Cops are all around that place, so that's another reason you shouldn't go there.
Go on Reddit, see what Reddit says about it. Reddit's a great place for this kind of stuff.
I mean, some of these are about the old old psych center that's down the road from it. But again, I don't doubt that there's underground tunnels from that building to this one. Abandoned Kirkbright building at Hudson River State Psychiatric Center. An electroshock therapy chair. Yeah, this is the hospital I went into. The one that's all abandoned like this. It does have a bunch of security and everything that they're saying in there. And the other thing is it's like right across the street from a college. So it's like, even remember how they would talk about like MK Ultra, like, you know, the Unabomber and stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, it looks like you've got some radio towers up there. I mean, that would be
Yeah,
a great
that
way to
too.
send the frequency out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's like between the college, across the street from the psych center, and then possible underground tunnels from the one psych center to the other that's next to the underground base. That's, I mean, it's just, it's ridiculous. Raccoon City. On Cheney Drive. I mean, that's even the name of the road. I'll show you the pictures of a underground. There was a Dutchess County Courthouse. There was a web page I had found that that had a list of different underground communication bunkers, and it said that the one in Poughkeepsie is one of the few still active ones. I don't know why I can't find it. Underground communication bunkers. It's crazy how you can't find anything about it.
Google's been like that for about a year now. Can't find shit on Google that you actually want to find.
I wonder if I just put in underground bunker. The Underground Railroad. Thing about abandoned bomb shelters. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing about it online. Poughkeepsie Underground Tunnels. I don't know. Oddly large fish in a cave under Poughkeepsie. I don't know. Like my friend said, this whole area is like Raccoon City. Hidden waterways. Yeah, I'll try to next time for the next podcast. I found this article while doing a search for underground tunnel. Hold on, let me see what my friend sends. God, Google sucks. Dave, did you try to send check that links? I don't think it's letting you post links. Let me see if I can get it. Send it to me in Facebook.
That's going to be easy, isn't it? You ain't got it.
But yeah, this area is fucking creepy. And I was gonna, like, I was back to the original point I was making. It makes me wonder about, like, some of the people I work with, like, if, you know, when they disappear like this, if they're in some sort of fucking underground...
Like that film, they end up in an underground.
Yeah. Being tossed in an underground bunker and being chopped up or something.
Right, I'm gonna have to get out of here, man.
Hold on, let me just show this one link my friend just sent me. He said it came up when he was searching for our area. Satan in Poughkeepsie. What is this? Anton LaVey exposed showed the business of religion when he founded the Church of Satan half a century later. Maybe it was during nap time, or hold on, let me just get that out of here. Maybe it was during nap time or snack time or shortly thereafter their parents dropped them off each day, but it was certainly during preschool hours that the teacher, Mrs. McMartin, and Mr. Buckley led the children through trapdoors in the classroom floor and down to the maze of tunnels. There below, the cold walls were covered in images of Satan with his red face and massive horns. Any child would have recognized him. There underground, the children, all of the young between 2 and 5 years old, were touched in private places and made to pose for dirty pictures. And maybe those tunnels made up a vast underground network because somehow in daylight without any witnesses, the teachers managed to take the entire class to a nearby Episcopal church where the grown-ups donned black robes and masks and stood before the altar and slit the throats of baby rabbits and birds and even a couple of turtles, letting the hot blood run into fancy cups. And they passed the cups to the children and forced them to drink the animals' bloods. And babies were killed, maybe, and the corpses were dug up from the ground, maybe. And the teachers took the kids out into the cemetery along with tombstones and touched them between their legs. And once Mr. Buckley took a long knife and chopped a pony to death right in front of them, saying that their parents would die that way too if any of the children said a word about anything that had happened at preschool that day or any other day or ever. And everybody spoke the name of the devil over and over again, dancing. These were among the 208 charges of abuse leveled at 7 teachers of the mostly run McMartin Preschool in Manhattan Beach, California in 1984. It began when the mother of 2-year-old son boy claimed the teacher had molested him. The initial accusations were so over the top, not only was there baby killing and blood drinking, but clown costumes were involved that the DA dismissed them as utterly unsubstantiated. The mother had also accused the boy's absent father of abuse and eventually diagnosed him as paranoid schizophrenic. Is this about California, or does this end up tracing over to Poughkeepsie? Oh,
Or Control F and search for it.
This is a large ass article. What do I do? Control
F. Search it.
Poughkeepsie, 1 of 8. Let's see. To my surprise, I had discovered that Satan's Vatican moved out of San Francisco nearly 20 years ago. High Priest Peter Gilmore, their only second in nearly 50 years, and his wife, High Priestess Peggy Nadramia, relocated church headquarters first to New York's Hell's Kitchen and then one more time to their dream house in Poughkeepsie. Oh my god. That freaks me out. The bland New York college town has become the heart of global Satanism. Gilmore and I corresponded, and after a few weeks on a spring day, I found myself invited to afternoon tea at the new Black House. On the train ride from Penn Station, we passed House Colonial Revival and Federal Style, and now old stations packed with stalled freight cars. Nearing Poughkeepsie, the buildings turned Victorian. This was the spot back in 1788 where Alexander Hamilton and Co. ratified the Constitution. We're not far from the former weekend homes of the Astors and the Vanderbilts. It's a setting that invokes a wholly different incarnation of the Dark One than West Coast Almont dark area psychedelia. I'm gonna have to, this is a long ass article, but I'm gonna have to like really go through this. The dining room of the Poughkeepsie Black House has been laid out as sort of high tea, complete with homemade sweets, sets. Who knew that the, let's see, I wandered into the kitchen where a few other satanic gentlemen were geeking out at something called the Chiller Theater Expo. I once saw a virus sitting at a table next to the cast of What's Happening. Meanwhile, Peter sharing his thoughts about professional wrestling. The WWF used to broadcast its TV shows from Poughkeepsie. Wow. And you know what's interesting about this is I know a few people in the area that are Satanists. Sort of makes me look at it in a different way now. Jeez. God. You know, and you know what's interesting about this, and not to make a direct tie to say, you know, people who are kind of new agey believe in Satanism or anything like that, but you can say people that believe in Satanism are kind of new agey. And you know, my I'll send it to you. It's pretty long. I didn't know this was about. I wonder what all this has to do with Poughkeepsie. Sorry, I was just reading all the comments I missed. You know, I've always wondered, right next to the restaurant I work at is this place called the Dreaming Goddess, and it's all about like sort of, I guess you'd say, white magic and like crystals and, you know, things like that, and like some of the stuff's flat out witchcraft stuff. And you know, again, like, people can be into that without really being, like, Satanists, but most Satanists are also into that type of stuff. And, I've just been sort of baffled at how much that business has grown. And, like, I mean, it used to be in a little shop. Now it's in a bigger shop. And then that shop bought the shop next to it so it could expand its, like, crystal room. And then they bought an office upstairs, and I'm just like, how is this expanding like this? Why is there such a boom in like their business? And I guess that's could very well be a part of it. Who knew this area was a hotbed for Satanism? So
yeah, I
yeah,
would have thought the biggest in England would be Glastonbury.
Yeah.
For us, yeah.
So now you know a little bit more about where I live. I
It's a
got
mental institute.
mental institutions, underground bunkers, and Satanism. And let me tell you, the size of this place is only like 2 miles by 2 miles. It is a very small area, very, very small. Like, it is not a big place. There's just a lot jam-packed. It's ridiculous, but all right. Well, let's call it a day.
Cool, man. I enjoyed it. It's cool.
All right.
Right. I'll see you in a bit, dude.
All right. Later.